Welcome to Squatch-D TV, where the truth is first before all else. Join your hosts, veteran investigator, TV personality, and author Steve Kulls, and from the Kentucky Bigfoot Research Project and the Kentucky Fried Fixes channel, Chris Bennett. Sit back and prepare to take yourself on a journey with the longest-running Bigfoot podcast, Squatch-D TV. Here are your hosts, Steve and Chris.
And good evening, cyberspace. Welcome to Squatch-D TV for today's date, March 22nd, 2026. I'm your host, your guide, the Squatch Victor Steve Calls, along with my co-host with the most, right down there, Mr. Chris Bennett. What's going on, Chris?
Steve, man, it's good to see you. Dude, we're having a heat wave in Kentucky. I mean, 80-some degrees today is nice.
Ooh,
love it.
Nice. Yeah, we had a miserable London type of day. Like it was on 50 and it rained, and I don't even know what the weather's supposed to be like tomorrow. I know it gets cold at night, down to the 30s.
At least the snow is melting off now, though, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's gone. Completely
Good.
gone.
Great,
Yeah.
great.
Yep. But my neighborhood, they're cutting down all the diseased trees. So they're knocking down. So it's kind of funny. Like they've knocked down about 12 trees already.
Yeah.
And like the whole profile of the landscape has changed. There's like no trees.
Oh man.
But
I hate it when that happens.
yes and no. Do not have to worry about trees falling on the house.
Well, that's good. Yeah.
Not that I had to really worry about that anyway, but on the power lines anyway.
Right.
So, you know, and the trees, some of the trees, I guess, were blighted too. So they needed to get them out. So now it looks like I live in stump land. I look at like stumps everywhere. But they're cutting them real close to the ground. I do have a stump that's up in my yard. We're going to take it. They were going to actually either pull it or cut it down. I said, no, leave it.
Right.
And that's where my Bigfoot statue sits in the front yard, is atop this stump.
Yeah,
So it sits up. It gives it a couple of extra feet height.
Oh, yeah.
So very nice.
Its own
though.
pedestal. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
We had some stumps around here. We had to, I didn't pay to get them ground up. I should have, but I'm a little bit frugal when it comes to spending money on things that I don't have to. So, as it turns out, Sandy and Andy went out there and they got to beating on them and burning them. And before you know it, hey, they had them money saved.
yeah, it's like, like they were taking these lunks of logs that, were about 3 feet tall. I almost was like, hey, can you save me a couple of those?
Yeah.
And I just roll them into my yard, just to, nice little seats.
Oh yeah, those are cool.
Or put the grill on or whatever,
All natural.
Oh, natural. Well, anyway, how's your week been?
Oh, well, I've been spending a lot of time online watching different different things and stuff like that. Watching Nikki shows, good shows, Nikki. And I've really been trying to take in this whole thing. But I've been frustrated. Have you been frustrated because of the non-availability of this documentary of doom?
Well, it did sound kind of weird. It was going to go on Plex that quick.
Yes.
And it turns out that was an internet rumor started by a Redditor.
No, it wasn't rumor at all. I mean, you could go to Plex and it was there.
But nobody ever released and said it was going to be released on Plex.
Right. Yeah.
So somebody had just found it and just put it all over. But what we do know is that there is a potential streaming deal in the works, and that hopefully we'll be all seeing this within the next, 4 to 6 weeks, hopefully.
Yeah.
So we shall see. And welcome to all our new folks there in chat. We got a ton of new people in chat. Welcome to the show. The show where we discuss the real world of Bigfoot.
Wow.
And where we have a little fun while doing it. So that's really huge that we do.
The chat is hopping. Look at that. Let's scroll for a mile to get up there to the top.
Well, Digger 48400 says filmmakers trying to get as much money as they can for it. Well, if you're a filmmaker, duh.
Oh yeah.
Duh,
Need that
of course
money.
that's what you're gonna do.
We work for money, not for free.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, what do you expect, a volunteer project?
Man.
You know, and you know, it's funny. I had a discussion, and I've been talking with a lot of people over the course of the week. And, you know, I got a lot of stuff going on at home. My mother-in-law and whatnot, and my wife's car broke, you know, had her locks break up, seize up, you know, in the midst of everything. Thank you, Mick.
Oh, Mick, man, thank you so much. Leave the chat room alone. Thank you so much, Mick. Mick gifted 5 memberships.
I am going to wipe that out, so now you're completely in charge. I can't see the chat, okay? That'll fix that. That'll fix that.
Thank you again so much, Mick, for gifting 5 memberships. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
And that way, if I don't see the chat, I won't interrupt myself, which I do constantly.
Well, I mean, you know, I don't want anybody to type anything about your music in the chat and kind of throw you off while we're doing the show.
I know, that'd be horrible. Yeah, see that, folks? You see that? There's shit I take.
Laugh at. You might as well laugh about it. Doesn't do any good to cry. Believe me, I know.
Anyway, so before we start tonight's show, first we want to welcome all our new folks today. And let's take care of some of our commercial announcements, which is nothing.
Okay.
You're not going to hear about, you know, Blue Chew or anything like that here on the channel. But what we're going to say is that I am the author of 8 different books. You can get them on Amazon. Just head over to squatchdetective.com. The Amazon link's there. Or just search my name under Amazon and you will see the books. So there. Again, for those interested in learning forensic interviewing, we'll be doing an 8-session online course on the membership side live beginning in May. So there you have it. That'll be coming up just in a couple of short months. Less than a couple of short months, actually, in 6 weeks. Woo! And then finally, free, totally free. We want to give something away. And that is for the first of each month on the website, squatchdetective.com. You will find a PDF version of the Squatch Detective Report where I just write like a monthly blog or whatever you want to call it, a series of articles and different little fun things to go. But you can download the latest episode there this month, right now, right there on squatchdetective.com. So that's totally 100% free. But tonight, before we start anything, I do want to pause for a moment and how the world has lost a legend. And like I was saying today, a lot of generations had their icons. The generation before me had John Wayne. We had Chuck Norris.
Yeah.
And it was never just an actor. He was never just a martial artist. He was something bigger. From his earliest days serving in the United States Air Force to becoming world champion martial arts to a cultural icon that defined toughness for generations, Chuck Norris just didn't play heroes. He set the standard for them. And yeah, over time, he became something even more. A legend people joked about because the truth was already larger than life. Roundhouse kicks that could end a fight before it started. A presence that filled the room before he even walked in. But behind it all was discipline, service, and commitment. That's what people reacted to. That's what people followed, and that's what people remember. But legends don't fade. They just move on to a different arena. And if there's any truth to this image up here, then somewhere right now, Chuck Norris is teaching angels how to throw a proper punch. Rest easy. You earned it. And very sad about losing Chuck.
Well, you know, I think personally, I do not accept that he died because he did not fear death. Death feared Chuck Norris. And so what I think has happened here is with everything that's going on in the world, I believe he volunteered to enter the afterlife on a secret mission for Delta Force and the United States of America.
There we go.
I believe that's what's happened.
Even though he was Air Force.
Well, you know, I'm thinking in the movies, okay.
Yeah, I
Yes, he was one of my fellow Death from Above men. Thank you,
Right.
sir. It's good.
Yeah. So, as usual, every once in a while, we like to do a little breaking news here. So I actually just got this across my desk a couple of hours ago. And it's a breaking news update. Unfortunately, we rarely do news here about the world, but I think this is important. And this says, tensions continue to escalate in the Middle East as Iran has effectively shut down the Straits of Hormuz, a critical global shipping lane responsible for roughly 20% of the world's oil supply. This closure comes amid the conflict involving Iran, the United States, and Israel, with reports indicating that tanker traffic has dropped to near zero, and global markets are already feeling the impact. Multiple vessels remain stranded, and international efforts to reopen the straits are underway through coordination between allied nations remains uncertain. In a surprising development, Japan has announced it will be contributed to specialized assistance to help restore safe passage through the region. Officials have declined to elaborate on the exact nature of that assistance. However, eyewitnesses report from commercial crews in the Gulf that are beginning to raise questions. One tanker captain reported seeing something massive moving through the water alongside our vessel. Another described what appeared to be something larger than anything we've ever seen deployed. Japanese officials have not confirmed these reports when pressured for details. A spokesman simply stated, Japan is committed to ensuring stability in international waters by any means necessary. So, yeah. There we go.
Gojira!
Oh,
Oh, no.
so anyway,
Godzilla's going to be escorting tankers through the straits. Okay. I'm sorry. Excuse me.
we got to have a little fun before we get to the meat of the matter, don't we?
Oh, that's so good. Oh. Yeah, I'd say that would do it. Yeah. Yeah, that would do
I
it.
would think so too. Yeah. Huh? Yeah, anyway.
Okay. I'll be right back.
Uh-oh. We've gotten Chris to the critical laughter point. Yes, there he is. Is he getting better?
Boy. That's
Sorry, I
killing
didn't
me.
make you laugh that hard, Chris. I apologize. I got to say, I saw this meme. I said, oh, it needs a re-meme.
I thought this was going to be something serious, and he pops up with Godzilla picture.
I know. I was going over the slides in pre-show today, and I was reading Chris the story, and Chris, without automatically looking at the screen, starts explaining how important it is to get the. And then I go, Chris, look at your screen. He's like,
man.
oh, you got me.
Oh, that kills me.
Also, let's do a little article on Bigfoot research here. Ladies and gentlemen, after decades of field investigation, eyewitness interviews, and behavior pattern analysis, we are finally able to present a structured breakdown of Bigfoot attack typologies. What you're going to look at here in a minute is not speculation. This is a comprehensive classification module derived from reported encounter dynamics, biomechanical feasibility, and, well, let's just say, repeated observational consistency. For years, researchers have focused on footprints, vocalizations, and habitat range. But one thing that has been critically overlooked is close contact engagement behavior. Tonight, we correct that. From basic interaction responses like clawing and shoving to advanced dominance displays such as the bear hug and what can only be described as a fully committed atomic elbow. This chart represents the first attempt to standardize Bigfoot combative methodologies. You will notice an escalation pattern as well. Patterns as well.
Freudian slip.
Yeah, I tell you, it's on our mind tonight. Woo! Anyway, we now move from simple displacement techniques to full body manipulation to what appears to be professional wrestling level finishing maneuvers. Now, if every one of these verified? No. But the question is, you have to ask yourself which ones aren't. And more importantly, if you find yourself in the woods, what phases of the sequence attacks are you prepared for? Woo!
Oh, no. Oh, I definitely don't want the tornado pile driver.
Those are some serious moves. Those are some serious moves, folks.
Oh, no, that's it. That's painful there.
Or or the atomic elbow right above it.
Yes, that's pretty bad. Oh.
And finally, before we get to our main topic tonight, a question from the mailbag. You know, people always ask me what prepared me for dealing with Bigfoot witnesses, hoaxes, and all the nonsense that comes with the field. It wasn't TV, folks. It wasn't the books. It was my life investigating retail theft. Years of it. Watching body language, reading intent before someone even makes a move. You learn real quick who's nervous and who thinks they're smarter than you. And every once in a while, you get one. Minute they walk in, that's the guy. This guy boosting thousands of dollars worth of merchandise, in and out, confident, cocky, thinks he's untouchable. And then one night, he decides to get froggy with me. Now, I'm not talking about running. I'm talking about turning around, squaring up like the rules are about to change. Well, see, up until that moment, it's business, policies, and procedures and observation. But when someone decides they want to escalate, well, that's when they learn something real important. There's a difference between playing the game and understanding the consequences of it. What you're looking at or about to look at right here, this is what I like to call an early field demonstration of applied behavioral correction. No paperwork, no committee review, just a very clear, very immediate lesson, and a very early lesson when before it was cool, FAFO. And I promise you, he graduated that night. And there it is.
Oh, Steve's got the bad guy. Oh, man.
I was scrolling through pictures, and I recall somebody had sent me that picture of this guy that squared up with me, and I trounced him.
Oh, well. Things didn't work out exactly like he had his plans were, I guess.
No.
Things have happened that way, though.
This is about just before I rolled him to handcuff him, but...
Yeah.
But, yeah, he had both arms pinned to the ground. He wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah, when I first saw this, I didn't know that was Steve until he told me. And then, I was like, oh, my God. I thought this was when they took those prisoners down there to El Salvador.
No, it's...
Oh, man.
One of my many days.
Well, somebody's got to get the bad guys off the street.
Not anymore for me. Nope.
Well, no, thank you. I'm glad that you got away from that because, frankly, I don't think it pays enough money.
Nope. Nope. Anyway, well, I it's not the money I was concerned of. It's the loyalty. There's no loyalty for us.
No.
You know, because you make one mistake, you're gone. You're just a footnote. See you later. Have a nice day. That wasn't me. That didn't happen to me. But I've seen it happen to some other folks. Some deserve, some not. You know, but it is what it is. Anyway, let's roll on to tonight's topic. What's up? Questions, answers, comments?
Let's see. I don't think, no, Mick, that's not going to happen, bud. Appreciate it, though. Did you knock his shoes off?
No, he ran out of them, actually, when he was fighting. I kind of did knock his shoes out of him, I suppose. No.
Looks like practice for the Kentucky Derby, yeah.
And if anybody notices, I not only not lost my shoes, I didn't even lose my hat.
Yeah.
So that was kind of funny. Yeah. But yeah, that was...
Mick says, what that photo doesn't show is Steve gave him an atomic wedgie afterwards.
Look out, here it comes.
Katie says, love that photo, all in a day's work.
Yeah, that was something else.
Good learning curve, right? That's right, Jesus.
And that was before FAFO wasn't cool.
Oh boy.
Anyway, shall we move into our topic of the night?
Let's just wait a minute.
Oh, why? More comments?
No, I just want to say hello to Jim Jernigan.
Jim Jernigan, how are you, brother?
New
Thank
member.
you so much. Thanks for being here, brother.
Thank you. And again, I want to thank Mick.
So
for
Jim
getting those
Jernigan and I
memberships.
have been in the field together a couple of times
Sure enough.
in
Cool.
Texas and in Arizona.
Yeah. And speaking of Texas, I want to recognize our good friend, the Texas Bigfoot Rangers.
Michael.
Member for 5 months. 5 months. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, Mike has always been generous, even though he's not a member. He's always generous.
Yes.
throwing us a super chat or
Yes,
something like
he
that.
sure
which
is. Thank you
really
so much,
cool.
Mike.
Thank you for everything, Michael. And I actually talked to Mike this week too. We had a great conversation, and you know, the kind of conversations that make me feel good and committed to what I'm doing here. So, but anywho. Oh yeah, aren't we all? Aren't we all? And like I said, we talked about it not being on Plex at the top of the show.
Well, you know, and I want to comment about that because it said right on the app, and you could do the search for it in the search box, and it brought up that movie and the screenshot for that movie.
Yeah,
and it said it was going to be available, you know, on the whatever that Thursday. And you could add it to your watch list and everything. But when Thursday came up, it's like, well, what the heck? It disappeared. So I don't know what they did. Maybe, yeah. Yeah, that's kind of, maybe it was something to get people to, you know, download the app.
Download their app.
Yeah, because they knew that movie was going to be popular.
Right.
But, you know, who was it? Was it I think Reverend Quantum Bigfoot pointed it out, and we looked and verified, and sure enough, your information was correct, Rev. It was on there, but they just didn't show it.
Yep.
Yeah,
And again, that was
no
started by
agreement.
somebody online, and that's it. And then you all went to it, and it says, "Oh, premieres on March." Like, "Ooh, here we go."
Yeah,
Nope.
right.
So,
Yeah. But,
yeah. So, you know, aside from the stuff that's been going on in my life, like I said, you know, a sick mother-in-law and everything like that, the community's reaction has been horrible, which wasn't unexpected.
Oh, I can see that.
A little bit surprised by some of the people judging things without seeing the evidence, just saying, "Okay,
Right.
well, let's see what it is." And people are making assumptions, and people making when they haven't seen the film, and only one person
without
that I
even
know,
seeing it. Right.
only one person I know has seen the film
Yep.
in its entirety. And you know, I hear people saying, "Well, Meldrum said he was edited, blah 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 blah." Well, that's funny because Doc Meldrum never even saw the finished product,
Yeah.
right?
That's right. Yeah.
And Bill Munns may have seen the film shown in front of him on a little screen or whatever,
Right.
but he's never seen the entire documentary. So I think that's important too.
That we know of.
And we know.
We need to add that. Yeah, need to add
No,
that.
I'm sure he did not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you've made documentaries and you've been under NDAs, you didn't get to see the final product before it aired either, did you?
Right, exactly. And if you're under an NDA, why is he talking about it?
Right. Well, it's already aired now, so yeah.
Well, it's not aired publicly. It's still kind of, I don't know. I don't know how that works. But anyway.
It was released. That should be good enough to clear him of anything. But I did listen to some of Bill Munn's comments about it too. And, you know, I can't say a lot about this thing because I've not seen it. I don't know.
No.
I don't know if they've done the investigative work on the film. I don't know if they've done the forensic works, you know, forensic work on the film.
Well, some of the stuff Eric has talked about, Palagos, who has seen this, he clearly stated that they had the expert from Boeing Film Lab
Right.
on there to show how this was made in 1966,
Yeah.
right? And so for some reason people think it's, you know, two symbols and going to the Kodak laboratory thing. It wasn't processed in the Kodak lab. And there weren't two symbols on there. There was three. and only one of them was a star, not both of them. I know this thing has been going around about 2 stars and stuff like. No, sorry, and the explanation of that. That films aren't born with them. They aren't printed with a manufactured date on them. They are on the carton of it. There is an expiration date of how good the film is good until, and then this code is put on the film after it's processed. So a filmmaker or a developer can go back to see when it was originally processed. Right? It's not on the film. It's on the processing of the film that they place these codes. So.
Well, that was the thing. See, I thought that the markers would be on the film stock to tell you what date that film stock was produced, not when it was developed.
But a production.
So I'm going to do some more research on that.
Yeah, it's a stamp. In fact, I know a lot of old time photos that I have actually have a little date on the side of the pictures. The ones that
right. Yeah.
And then you look at some of the strips, you can see the coding on them.
Right.
And they, assuredly they weren't there. This is something the labs do.
Right.
Depending on what lab you have, they have their own series of codes.
But, if that one bit of information that we've been told about the documentary is correct, and Patricia Patterson makes some statements, it doesn't matter what that film says. It doesn't matter when that film was produced.
It's very daunting at best.
That's the thing. Not having seen it, we don't know.
Right, right, exactly. We're going to have to keep an open mind to everything.
Exactly.
I think it's really strong to do that.
Yeah.
Because we can sit there and point out this and this and this, but we haven't seen the film.
Right.
I'm not acting out of emotion. And hey, folks, not for nothing. In 2005 or 6, I went on Canada's version of Coast to Coast AM called the X Zone with Rob Connell.
Yeah.
And I debated with Cal Korff how the Patterson-Gimlin film was real and that Greg Long's debunking fell short.
Right.
Right. And if all this comes out to be this is a hoax, I was wrong, and I'm readily able to admit that. In investigation, there is no perfect. There's no perfect man. Everybody makes mistakes, and hey, if I made a mistake, then I made a mistake. And again, I never did a deep dive necessarily into the Patterson film. I'm only talking about observations that I've seen from afar and from what I've read and stuff like that. It was never like I was boots on the ground with this thing at all. But still, I'm man enough to say, hey, I was wrong about the Patterson film. I always on the fence about it, but I always lean towards it was authentic. And if this turns out to be the opposite, then hey, I was wrong. So be it. I'm human. My research has not been based around the Patterson film. I've done plenty of we've done plenty of shows here in the past. There's even a chapter or two in some of my books about the authenticity of the Patterson-Gimlin film.
Yeah.
Hey, if we're wrong, we're wrong. And a good researcher, a good investigator turns around and moves with that flow. You've got
to go with the facts. Exactly.
Right.
You cannot.
As Thomas Steinberg says, you have to go with the facts and never deviate.
Yeah,
never deviate from them.
Emotion has nothing to do with it.
Right. And unfortunately, it's a shame. And, maybe, could I have done a show Wednesday and Friday with everything going on around me? I was just so soured by the way people are acting and the way, people are calling names and people are doing that. And hey, you know what? Here's the interesting thing. What do we say about hoax defenders? They call names, right? They refuse to look at any evidence in the eye, and right now they're at the name calling. They have to see the evidence first.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah.
We got people out there saying they're not even going to watch the film. Well, tell me how much cognitive dissonance is there?
Wow.
Not to even watch the film. You got to watch the film if you consider yourself a serious researcher or
you
investigator.
You got to investigate the evidence. Exactly. Yeah.
Right. And you got to watch it with an open mind and not throw out the science book, but also remain objective. If something sounds wrong, investigate it. Show some real proof, not just stuff being said, not hearsay, not happenstance, not, oh, well, this person said this or that person said that to somebody. Or, again, that wouldn't be admitted in a court.
Right. And Brett seems to think it's like it was put on the manufacturer. Well, he says, Steve, you have it backwards. The manufacturer date is on the reel. There's no date markers when you process the film. That's what I was thinking. But Texas Bigfoot Ranger says Boeing had a registry, and it allegedly stamped the beginning of the film.
Right.
So that would put a date on it, other than the film stock manufacturer date. Because we thought about that. If I'm certain I could buy a roll somewhere that's dated 1966 film stock, and I could make a film of me and Steve out in the woods, and we could say, hey, look, we time traveled back to 1966. Look at us. No.
Right.
But if Boeing developed it and they date stamped the development on the beginning of the reel, well, then that takes care of that.
Right. And we do know this film got stashed in there in the safe.
Yeah.
Prior to the release of the Patterson-Gimlin film by the testimony of the daughter of Norm Johnson.
Right.
So, if you, I don't, whatever the case may be, but
but like I was talking earlier, if the report is true, and I have no reason to doubt it, there's going to be some testimony made by Patricia Patterson.
Right. So I want to talk tonight about several things that are affecting this whole implosion that's going on. And just so you know, an implosion is an explosion from within, or caving in, rather. What I actually should have said is a blevy, but not many people understand what a blevy is. And a blevy is when an explosion happens internally, outward, combined by pressure. And blevies are probably one of the worst things you ever want to see. Very dangerous. They're the type of things that flatten miles around, and there's been many blevies of train tanks and stuff like that have caused massive damage. And that's what's going on right now in the Bigfoot world. And there's a lot of people saying out there, and let's just take a look at it. People are saying, that, they had financial motive, that Clint has financial motive. And that, and I know people have said how quick people have turned on Bob Gimlin, but how quick people have turned on Patricia Patterson. This is just a Patterson money grab. Well, somebody could have said that 60 years ago. Maybe this is a Patterson money grab. But let me ask you a question, Chris. If you and I filmed an incredible Bigfoot video, right, and then you and I and our financier had a falling out, and I go on tour to show that film. I go to different conferences and I'm showing that film, and I bring along somebody that I say is Chris Bennett, and he gets asked questions about what happened and everything like that. And it turns out that somebody calls out and say, that's not Chris Bennett. This is all a hoax, right?
Yeah.
They would string me up today.
Yeah.
Right? You would get strung up today if you were to do that.
Yeah.
We give Roger Patterson a pass on that.
Yeah.
That's just, to me, it's a double standard when I hear that. I'm like,
that was dishonest.
But let me be quite clear. I gave Roger Patterson a pass on that. But when you're reality check, sometimes you have to say, maybe I was wrong doing that. Maybe this was the first big sign that something was wrong. I don't know. But people pay to get in to see Roger Patterson with Bob Gimlin, and there's a phony Bob Gimlin out there answering people's questions. That, to me, is a huge issue. And tell me that's not a financial motive, right? So that argument can be made on both sides. And again, we can talk about the few $1,000s a year that in licensing fees that was given to Patricia and over the years, and God knows how much In Search Of paid for it. But whatever the case is that the financial incentives are on both sides of the argument here, folks. It's not just on one side, and that we have to be conscious of. And that you know, like I said, if Patricia comes out in this film and says that it wasn't real, that's completely against her financial incentive. But anyway, human nature, again, people have created their own identity behind this film, you know, in this world. And unfortunately, it's going to be tough for them to swivel off of that if it turns out to be fake. Conversely, if this film proves to be inauthentic or inaccurate or wrong, right, it's going to ruin the filmmaker. It's going to put Clint back into the dregs of people that deserve everything bad. But the bottom line is we have not seen this film yet, so we are going to withhold any type of discussion. But I'm just kind of giving some of these, and listen, I'm not mad at them. I understand how they feel. I remember when I first heard this, the pit in my stomach, like, oh, it made me physically ill. You know, it made me physically ill. I got very nauseous. I didn't throw up, but it made me very, very physically ill. Like, no. And if I had my way, I wish this film never came out. I wish it never happened. And part of me also says I wish it did. That we need to know the truth.
Oh, yeah.
If this is true.
Yep.
We have to see the evidence first.
Right.
We are not making a determination that this film is real or not, or if the film has been debunked or not. We will do that after it releases, whenever it releases.
It's a bit premature.
Yeah. We have one guy who saw it, another field producer who's talked to some of our friends that has given their impressions and some of the behind the scenes type of stuff. Right. Got that. We are processing that, and we acknowledge that, and that's likely what happened, but we have to see it to believe it.
Right.
You know, and that's fine. I mean, a lot of people, well, you know, I believe in Bigfoot. I have to see it to believe it. Well, in 2011 and 2012, I saw one. Actually, I saw two. One in 2011, one in 2012. Yeah. So I know the creature's out there. I know it exists. And the big message, of course, is always that this is just one case. This is just one case. It just happened to linger for 60 years.
Yeah.
Let's continue on.
Well, before we go a little further, I'm going to do a quick shout out to Wolf Lord Brand, member for 5 months. He says the main cryptozoology subreddit is so hateful. I could believe that. Yeah, but thank you for being a member. Appreciate it.
You know, somebody had made a comment about something or other, and he said, well, thanks for not biting my head off. No, it's what it is. You know?
Well, you know, I think the problem is, all right, a lot of people that are into the Bigfoot research field have not had a physical sighting of their own. So they always have that bit of doubt in their mind because, you know, I always tell everybody, be skeptical right up until the moment you see it yourself. You know, I recommend that. Be skeptical. So they base their belief on the best evidence that they could find out there, which to them was the Patterson-Gimlin film. And to have that taken away from them, man, it's you know, it's disheartening. It's upsetting. And I could see that.
Well, you know what? The same with me. It's disappointing. It's disheartening if this turns out to be true. It's horrible. Horrible.
Well, I don't know. I'm gonna agree with Sally here. It's just, I still say it doesn't matter. It doesn't change witnesses' experience. Its PGF has always been inconclusive. Its importance is being overblown by both skeptics and Bigfoot enthusiasts. I think that's true. It's a piece of film evidence that we think, you know, I always liked it. I did. But, you know, some things about it I didn't like, you know, the head shape on Patty. But other than that, you know, I've always liked it. And if it is a hoax, well, I mean, that's what it is. Yeah. We have to, but, you know, once again, haven't seen the documentary yet.
Right. There's pros and cons everywhere. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
You know, even in my book last year, Bigfoot: A Scientific Inquiry, I have a case study on the Patterson film based on the science of Jeff Meldrum, Grover Krantz, John Pinnagle, Bill Munns. And there's a whole 4 or 5 page dissertation on there about how I believe the Patterson-Gimlin film is real. Right? If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It is what it is what it is. And I'm man enough to admit it. I'm not going to cling on to things saying, oh my God, I can't admit I was wrong. And I have seen people cling to the silliest of things in my lifetime, not only in Bigfoot, but other things. The same thing with the film manufacturing thing. From what I understood was one way. Maybe somebody has learned the other way. I don't know which is correct now. I'm confused, but we do know that Boeing did stamp their processed films when they processed it with the date stamp. So in a lot of labs will. I remember getting photo negatives back from many years of film development because I was kind of a camera buff in my youth. And to tell you the truth, I have pictures I've taken with a 110 camera, with a 326 camera.
Right.
And of course I never had a film 35 millimeter camera.
Oh,
because I went right from there to digital.
Oh, dude, I was an amateur photographer at one time. I really enjoyed it. Of course, when you're in the military, you get a good camera, okay? Because you're going to take pictures for the memories.
Right. And thank God I had digital cameras back in my day for all the times I was around the country. So I got thousands of pictures on all of my computer and on my clouds and stuff like that.
Right.
But I'd be willing, okay, if this turns out to be that, okay, I was wrong, no sweat off my back. I'm human. I'm not all knowing. I'm not all powerful. And, I make mistakes just like everybody else.
Well, I mean, you can't go in. You can't go in all the way on a piece of evidence that you weren't there during the encounter. Right. It's no matter whether you believe, oh, it's really a hoax or oh, it's really real. It's just a belief, and you can't know for sure one way or the other because we weren't there.
Yeah, and it's not like it was 5 years ago, even 10 years ago. Not even 20 years ago or 40 years ago. It was 60 years ago. So although when I got involved, it was only 30 some odd years.
Right.
Well, actually, it was less. No, it was 32 years when I got involved. And now we're up to 60.
But the Skoptics, I'm sure, will be claiming, they'll be running a victory, or claiming the victory and running victory laps. But
Bigfoot's dead. Bigfoot's dead.
That's the thing, yeah.
News for you, Bigfoot is not dead.
Yeah, that's the thing. They always thought that if they could prove the Patterson-Gimlin film was a hoax, then that proves Bigfoot is a hoax. And no, it doesn't. No. It proves that if it proves it's a hoax, then it's a hoax. Yep. It doesn't prove Patty.
Let's get to the next slide.
Yes, let's do that. Yeah.
So how to approach belief reassessment. And then, of course, you have the resist reassessment, avoid psychological lift and maintain belief, or embrace reassessment. You're going to accept psychological lift and reevaluate. And as an investigator, that's what we always have to do, because you may go into an investigation believing it's somebody, and then you turn out, oh, it's not that somebody. And that can be a number of things. To point out, there's been many people there was some theft, and we were trying to figure out who it was. And some of the people we thought it might have been, turns out, nope, we've kind of cleared them. And then all of a sudden it comes out to be somebody as a complete surprise, right? Happens all the time. You see that when you watch crime shows about murders, they suspect it's the husband and blah, 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 blah. And and then they realize, oops, it's somebody else. And that happens too. So, where you see people get railroaded in the criminal justice system is because they resist reassessment and avoid psychological lift. One of the things I can clearly tell you is the West Memphis 3 murders, the murders of the 3 young boys at Robin Hills in West Memphis, Arkansas. There was definitely they were wrong. But they, did not. Well, they wanted to avoid that psychological, lift and maintain their belief. And they prosecuted those boys on the flimsiest of circumstantial evidence whatsoever. And there was a false confession there of a kid who had an IQ of less than 100. I think his IQ was either in the high 60s or low 70s. And they finally got him to admit, oh, yeah, we did it. And he was completely wrong. And you watch the interview of it, you can see how the detectives led him to that confession. They actually walked him through it and corrected him, and then he recorrected himself to make it fit the scenario. So, and that's because these people, these investigators back then, resisted reassessment. Instead of embracing reassessment, how can we redo this? Because when you reassess something, it's either going to do one of two things. It's going to confirm your belief or change your opinion. So that's really huge. Really huge. So let's go to our next slide. Chris, anything on that?
No, I can see it. A lot of times when the police get their suspect, they'll go for the easiest person. Well, you were the only one there and that found the body. Okay, well, you're a suspect. It doesn't matter.
Well, everybody's a suspect. The person who found it. The person who found it. Then if they clear them, then they go to the immediate family. Then when they clear them, then they can go to outside sources. Because let's think about it that on as an aside, that most of your murders in the world occur from within the family or somebody you know.
Right.
The vast majority of them.
Somebody they know. Right.
Even if it's over money, even if it's over love, it's always somebody you know.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Next slide. Here we go.
Yeah. Be careful if you find a body and report it. Make sure you've got an alibi.
Well,
because they're going to look at you first.
Yeah, but for the most part, if you have nothing to do with it, you have nothing to worry about, because that will all feather out. Because then when they do the autopsy, they realize the person died at a specific time and all that stuff. And then it's easy to find your alibi. You don't even have to think of an alibi. Just tell the truth. And that goes to a bit of psychology too, is that a guilty person will have to try to figure out an alibi, whereas a not innocent person doesn't have to try to figure out an alibi. They'll just say, well, I was over here.
Right.
Without batting an eye, or, during that time period. This is what I did. A, B, C, and D. Done. All right, next. So, are you protecting conclusions or evaluating evidence? And protecting conclusions is you reject new evidence immediately. And we're seeing that in huge strides in the Bigfoot community. And you're protecting conclusions. It's not two sides evaluating evidence. It's the one side saying, including people saying boycott the film. You need to see this film.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because you know what? If it turns out to be bullshit, pardon my French, I know I'm gonna get a letter from the French ambassador saying, "Will you please stop saying these are French words? These are not French words." But anyway,
yeah, they would be mirrored.
But yeah. Like I said, there's people saying they're not even going to watch the film. If you're doing that, then you're just showing your bias. And I understand you may love the guy, you may like the guy, you may know the guy personally that's alive and left in this whole cabal. But still, happens. And then, of course, for us, including us now, we have to evaluate the evidence for its potential validity. You don't think I'm going to be sitting there taking notes that night to do my own double checking of things? I certainly am.
Yeah.
Because I want to know if I'm being hoodwinked or not. And then what we need to do is have both sides kind of evaluate the evidence, people that are pro and con, see if they can meet in the middle and say, okay, what do we know? What is this? I think that's huge. So I really think that we need to get out of the red and stay in the green right now. As far as looking at this chart.
There's nothing wrong with remaining skeptical.
Right. But don't go on an attack.
No.
And that's what people are doing. They're calling all sorts of names. Isn't that what we complain about the people like the Standlings do to us, or maybe MK's followers do to us when we used to talk about the masker stuff? They used to call all kinds of names and say,
Yeah.
we went in for this reason.
Right.
And, oh, you people don't believe in the massacre theory. You're trying to protect this thing. And, right?
Oh,
We're seeing the same damn thing now coming from people in the higher echelons of the Bigfoot community. And we need to stop. I'm telling you that as advice. We need to stop attacking and just step back and breathe. Because nobody's breathing. What do you think I've done for the last week? I breathed. Because you know what? There was no sense after seeing Eric's video and Nikki doing the show coming on Wednesday just to reiterate all that.
right.
I needed to let it absorb. And then I saw the reactions Thursday into Friday, and Friday I didn't feel any better. And then finally yesterday, I started to come, and it started to all come together in my mind. What needed to be said, what needs to be done, and to relax, because it doesn't matter which way this falls. It does not matter.
Right. And speaking of that, I've been starring some questions here in comments,
Go right ahead.
Steve,
Yeah,
but I
fire
want
away.
to bring one up.
Sure.
DM Zabo says, "What has Moneymaker said? Anyone?"
Oh, he's probably one of the most vocal people out there. He's been trashing the filmmaker with
Yes.
names and stuff like that.
Yes.
He made that comment on a post on one of my Facebook posts doing the show. And I just asked him to let's be a little, act like leaders.
Yes.
What was that last comment?
Said
Oh,
the
yeah.
Moneymaker is claiming it's fake, of course.
The documentary, yeah.
Yeah.
This is all this stuff.
No.
Every excuse under the book. Edits.
That's not what we do here.
Yeah, edits.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're-
That's not, yeah.
We're here about the truth. We're seeking the truth. And
And how can somebody talk about edits in a film when they haven't even seen it?
that's impossible. I mean, you've got to view the evidence and investigate the evidence before you can
Listen,
really comment about it.
I don't fault people for being emotional and going over the top.
Sure.
Lord knows I've done that too.
No.
But, like I said, I'm not perfect. But never have I had that kind of reaction to evidence. Because that's my realm is evidence.
Right.
And I didn't come out. You've never heard me talk badly or call names to Greg Long, although I disagreed with him for the longest time. You never heard me call names and stuff to Bob Hieronymus. He's just a dirty son of a... Never said that.
No.
Cal
we
Korff?
just pointed out the inconsistencies in Rob Hieronymus' story over.
Yeah, exactly. We present the evidence.
Right.
Cal Korff is kind of a nut. Kind of a nut because he claimed he was this and that and worked on the OJ trial and solved the JFK assassination and was part of the Israeli Secret Services and all this other stuff, all of which turned out to be kind of, little crazy. So that's just calling out fact, that he said all these things and our opinion of that fact. But we didn't say, anything about his character or any, necessarily when it comes to moral stuff. But very important that
I never did agree with Greg Long's philosophy of the way he did his book, because he started out with a narrative, and that was the narrative he was going to put through the entire book. Rather than searching for facts, he only looked for information that would support his narrative. Which was that it was a hoax.
I think the biggest problem there was that Greg Long's book never raised the bar enough to conclusively prove anything.
No.
It was a bunch of stories put together, and that was all he had.
He drug Roger Patterson through the mud, and
hey, listen, we could all be dragged through the mud in certain aspects of our lifetimes.
Yeah, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That doesn't change the fact. Is it possibility somebody could have not paid for a camera, but they still saw Bigfoot? Yes. Yes. It doesn't mean a thing.
Right.
Now, if Roger Patterson had worked in the movie industry creating suits for a living, hey, that's a good point. But he didn't.
Right. So yeah, so there is a number of things. All right, next.
Okay.
So how to approach new information. And again, this is just the basics. Correct approach is let's wait for the full release and evidence.
Yep.
The incorrect approach is form conclusions prematurely. We can form some preliminary conclusions,
Right.
but conclusions and absolutism seems to be ruling the day, and that's unfortunate. We just need to hold the line. Just hold the line. Let's reserve our comments and our more seedier comments.
Yes.
And let me just say this too, that just because people are like Moneymaker, and other folks just blah, 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 I understand. I'm not mad at them for doing it. I understand why they're doing it. A lot of people think, well, it's because there's a financial motive behind it. No, this is part of their belief system, right? When we all got into the Bigfoot world, this was the golden, this was the standard of evidence for film. Now we're learning it may not be. And that's only a might. So there is a real tough going ahead for all of us. There's going to be a reckoning if this turns out to be true. And I think conversely, if this turns out to be not true as well, there's going to be a reckoning too. So, it's that kind of thing. And, personally, people know how I'm starting to feel about it, but that's based on my wisdom as an investigator.
Right.
But publicly, I'm going to say what I say is that we have to wait till the evidence comes in. And that's my responsibility to my public and to my audience is we just have to wait. Seeing is believing, and we all have to see it and absorb it. And if need be, believe it or not. Right?
Well, we've got to investigate the facts. And if the facts are there and they're correct, then we have no choice but to accept them. It's either that or live a lie. You can't do that. Well, you could, I guess, but
right.
No, we're about the truth, man.
My point is no matter what people say, if Patricia Patterson is on that film saying it's a hoax, if I don't care who you are, how is the general public going to look at that? Who is closer to Roger than anybody else but Patricia Patterson? Right? That was his wife.
Right.
Right? That's who he went home to every night and talked to every night. Yep. And got up every morning and had breakfast with every morning, if they ate breakfast. That's who he's closest to. And if she says that, what can you argue with it? Oh, that's just a money grab. No, it doesn't matter if you think it's a money grab or not. The bottom line is the general public will say, there it is. Because nobody was close. Bob Gimlin wasn't close to Roger Patterson. That we knew. They had a falling out shortly after the film.
Yep.
Obviously. So who would be closer? Roger Patterson or Patricia Patterson? Patricia Patterson would be closer to Roger. So if she says that, the outside world's going to look at that and say, okay, it's a hoax. Case closed. And if we sit there and try to argue it away, people are going to look at us like we are pseudoscientists being desperate to preserve that film in any way possible, including trashing the people that came forward with the evidence. This is how the general public will look at the Bigfoot community. We need to think of that.
Oh, gosh, I got to put this one up now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Reverend Quantum Bigfoot said, but if she has promoted it as a genuine and sold rights to a Patterson-Gimlin film as a real event, then couldn't she be sued for fraud? That's a good question.
Here is the technical lookout for that. When you license a film You're licensing the use of a copyrighted piece of film.
Yeah.
You're not putting any guarantees on it. When you sign those release, it's for the licensed use of copyrighted material. That's it. Not whether the material shows something real or not whether it's true or not. You are
Yeah. I
right.
can see that. Right.
Did the production company prior lose any money because part of that whole suing thing, you have to show a loss of money. Well, no, they put it in like let's go back to In Search Of. They put it in there and people watched. Millions of people watched, right?
Right.
They didn't lose any money on it, real or not.
Yeah. Entertainment.
It's all part of it. That's entertainment. It's Hollywood. All right.
I gotta say though, the walk portrayed in the film is good. It's good. How did they get that? I don't know. How did they know to do that? I don't know.
Who knows if they actually walked
It's
the way
smooth.
they want? If it actually walked the way they said it did.
Maybe that was part of it.
I don't know. I am not going to
It
try to
makes you
get.
think. Yeah.
I'm not going to try to get into the minutia of it.
No.
Because the bottom line is, you go down all these what we call investigators as a red herring. If we go down all these red herrings, use all these red herrings, we're going to lose focus.
But I got to give it to them. I mean,
Because-
if it turns out that it's a hoax, they did a pretty damn good job.
The only,
on the wall.
if it turns out to be a hoax, the only one that can really tell us the truth is Bob Hieronymus. Strangely, right? Weird. Weird.
Well, not. I don't know. Wasn't one of the? Now I may be wrong, but wasn't one of the statements that Patricia Patterson made was that the film that they showed, this new film, that was Bob Hieronymus in that suit?
No. What is being reported was
That's why we need to see it.
Yeah, she watched the film, but what she said was it was Bob Hieronymus that was in the suit in 1967.
Oh.
That's what she allegedly says. We're going to have to wait and see. And if that's the case,
Man, I gotta see this thing.
yeah, that's what it was said, or at least alleged what was said.
Well,
So, and I have no reason not to disbelieve Eric Palicos, but seeing is believing, and seeing will put that any doubt into the 100% catalog. So if that was said, not a good day. Not a good day, because like I said, it don't matter what everybody's pointing at this and that and the biomechanics and all this other stuff. It doesn't matter when the general public hears that from the person that was closest to Roger Patterson. What are they going to believe?
right.
What are they going to believe?
They're going to believe
Patricia Patterson.
Patricia, yeah.
If that's what she said in the film.
Yeah.
So we shall
And
see.
DM Zabel says supposedly it was Hieronymus and Patterson gypped him out of his $1,000. That was his story. He's maintained that.
Now, if you've DM Zavo, if you watch the documentary, according to Eric, there's a part in the documentary, according to Eric, that Clint Patterson tries to give Bob Hieronymus the $1,000 that his father owed him. And he wanted to make good the feud between the Pattersons and the Hieronymuses.
Allegedly.
Reportedly,
okay.
and reportedly Hieronymus. Yeah, everything's reportedly. And what has been reported was that Hieronymus didn't want to take it, and they went back and forth for a while, and finally Bob relented because Clint was being insistent. So that's funny. If this is a money grab, there's Clint giving up $1,000
Right.
that he didn't have to. Yeah,
Right.
I don't know. I just don't know.
And
We'll have to see the film.
if it was Bob Hieronymus in a suit that day, yeah. If I was Bob, I'd sure take that money. You're damn right. That's $1,000, man. But again, we haven't watched the film. We haven't
No.
investigated the film.
Right.
We're only going by what has been reported by a credible source, a very credible source. Right. Yes.
And they seem to match up with what their director has said in the pre-release interviews.
Yes.
So there is statements by the director at first, and then some corroboration by somebody that's seen that. And we haven't talked about Eric seeing that because last week when we were at this point, we just had what the director had said. And Eric has come back with that plus much more detail. So he
did a good job. Yes.
Did a real good job. And unfortunately, he's being attacked for that. And again, I'm not, like I said, I'm not dropping my hat on either side of the line. I'm like right now, I'm going to sit back. I didn't do an investigation on this film, never to believe. Everything that I've said about this was based a lot on my opinion. Stuff I've written about in my books was based on the opinions of others. Yeah. And truthfully, there are some things that maybe down the road we will discuss, maybe not this year, but there's stuff that I realized that I overlooked that should be some flags to me if this turns out to be a hoax. If not, then I was rightfully ignoring those flags. So I don't know. And I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to be wrong. Let me just say that for a fact. But if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Yeah. Simple as that. All right, next slide. There we go. So let's talk about one of my favorite topics in comparison. What if this turns out to be a hoax? What if the general public will no longer listen to anything about the Patterson-Gimlin film because they believe it's a hoax, because of whatever? Well, similarly, years ago, there was the infamous surgeon photo that was taken in Loch Ness. That's the one in the upper left-hand corner. Right. That was, for years, the watershed iconic photograph of the Loch Ness monster. Kind of reminds you of frame 352 of the Patterson film. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Right. Doggedly. And, of course, it was about 60 years later when the family finally released that it was a model that was used. Right. And, a crushing blow to people who believed in the Loch Ness monster, crushing blow to the thing. And the funny thing is that there was a cross-reference slice. And mind you, the Loch Ness community is hell of a lot smaller than the Bigfoot community, right? But there was a slice of the Loch Ness community that said, we knew this all the time, that this thing could not have been real the way it was photographed. And of course, you had your true believers, yada, yada, yada. But eventually, everybody came around to acknowledging, okay, it's a hoax. So how did that change? And as you can see, there's some of the question mark ones are some of the newer evidence way after, that defies that this is going to be the defining moment for a legend. Right. May I remind people that, in 94, 92, 94, or whatever year Ray Wallace died, maybe it was 2004. I can't remember. It was 2004, I believe. But anyway, when Ray Wallace passed away, there were headlines, Bigfoot's dead. Like, no, it's not. And I have a feeling that they're going to try that again. And it's like, didn't you guys say 30 years ago or 20 years ago that Bigfoot was dead, but still carries on? It's kind of a stupid headline. And even the outside community. In fact, I listened to a YouTube video by this field biologist who really enjoys the cryptozoology community and does not rule out the possibility of Bigfoot, does not rule out the possibility of other cryptids. But he even said that, does this kill the Bigfoot mystery? No, because it's just one case in a string. It's no different than any other film we get every year, multiple times a year. Just this one survived the test of time and got a lot of elevation. Let me just put it to you that way. So the Loch Ness investigation, let's take a look how that popped up. It was the truth was revealed, photo debunked as fake. All the investigators adjust. They separated bad evidence from good, and then they just continue their investigation, keep exploring the phenomenon. That's how you carry on. Three simple things. 1, 2, 3. Accept it, move on, adjust your research, and continue your investigating. And frankly, I have no reason to
2002.
Right,
Yep.
in 2002. Yep, I knew it was that time period.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was 2004. I'm getting old. Anyway, but investigators adjust, and that's what we all have to do. Adjust to what? I don't know, because there's nothing much I would do different necessarily, except look at the statements from what people say and just keep on doing what I keep on doing. Because the investigations I've run, I've been pretty damn good on my track record. Like if I see something that looks like a hoax, if I see something that looks good, right?
Well, that's the thing, though. We always try to preach on this channel is to investigate the evidence, and it's okay to remain skeptical. And,
you need to remain skeptical
yes.
because we're out here to prove Bigfoot, and if this is not Bigfoot, then we need to eliminate it. And I'm not saying that about the PG film. I'm saying about cases in general. If I get a case,
Yes.
So that's the important thing. Very important. So this is what needs to continue to be done. Is we just need to adjust and continue on with our lives, and it may be tough for a little while. We may get a little more picked on. We may get a little more abuse, but we're used to that. We've done this for how many years, me and Chris? And it matters not. So let's move on to the next one. So let's evaluate and going forward. Again, let's gather the evidence. So we need to all watch a film, analyze it, evaluate the strength of the evidence and relevance of the evidence.
Right.
There are certain things on there that may not be as relevant or not. And maybe, both the filmmakers and the non-film and the other side are making arguments over minutia that's not really important. There's two things important in that film, and I've always said this. One is the film the same? Is it the same suit? Two, what did Patricia Patterson say? Those are the two important things on that film.
Right.
It doesn't even matter what Gimlin says.
No.
There's this one thing where Eric says that there seems to be an implied, it's time to tell the truth. Let's put that aside. Let's put that one aside for now. The two important things, and I've said that from day one, is whether or not the suit matches, the landscape matches, or the what Patricia Patterson has to say. Well, it turns out that the landscape does not match, so we can kick that one out. But the suit apparently matches. So now we have two potential things to look at in this film, not three. So Eric's reconnoiter helped us to get ready to evaluate the evidence. And you're damn straight. We're all going to be sitting there with the pause button on whatever streaming service is there.
Big screen.
Taking notes, taking screenshots. All right. Yeah. Right. So, and you know what? That's what people should be doing.
That's exactly
and
right.
I bet you both sides will be doing that, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Then we can have an honest argument.
Yeah.
Not an argument against.
I'm going to put this statement up from Steve, Curious Cryptid. He said, I think the most valuable thing about this will be how those who grift off the Patterson-Gimlin film show their true selves for a while.
Okay, well, I take offense to the word grift.
No.
We're using, hold on. We're using.
I know what he's talking about.
Yeah. Well, maybe there's a couple of people that come to mind, but I don't mean like Meldrum. I don't mean like Munz. No. People will say, "Oh, well, Munz has got a financial." Yeah, he does, but you know what? All the above: Munz, Meldrum, Moneymaker, 3 M's in a row. Look at that. And whoever else, they truly believe in the Patterson film. Right? Now, if you're talking about the guy that's making these little AI recreations of photos of Roger and Bob, yeah, that's kind of the grift. But people giving lectures because of what they believe, that's not grift. Grift is stealing money from people through deceit. And it is let me give you a great example. People say, oh, this YouTube channel is a grift. Well, how are they making their money? They're not making money by taking money from people. They're getting money from people. And they're also getting money from ad revenue. That's not grift. When you sit there and say, hey, give me, $100, I'm going to invest it in something. I'm going to invest it in this wonderful bridge down in New York City in the sixth borough of Papadopoulos. And and they take your money. That's grift. So I get, we're too used with the word grift because people will call YouTubers, oh, they're grifting on the Bigfoot thing. Oh, come on.
Right.
Right. What exactly is a grift? In their terms. I mean, you can go to 48 hours. Aren't they grifting off, people getting murdered? You could look at 60 Minutes. Aren't they grifting off of this and that political situation? It gets ridiculous. The term grift look it up. I'm not even going to bother saying look it up. You will understand what the meaning of grift is. We misapply it in so many ways. The similar way that the woo folks misinterpret the word glyph. Just let me put it to you that way.
Nick says, hey guys, you think the new PG film doc has caused such waves because it is looked at as the holy grail of Bigfoot evidence?
Hey, Nikki, welcome to the channel. And I do think it's caused the rift exactly. People have asked me and we've made Bob Gimlin into an icon. And that's our doing. Not my doing necessarily, personal doing,
right.
but that collectively, that's our doing. We've turned him into an icon. Oh, Bob is salt of the earth. Bob is this. So now anytime anybody attacks it, people will voraciously attack it. And all I can say is that had this film come out, I was kind of really on the fence. Now I hear Eric's stuff. Now it gives me reason for concern. Mm-hmm. Right? So it's going through different levels.
Well, this has been the longest lasting Bigfoot film in history that has yet to have been debunked, other than supposedly, allegedly, by this documentary. So, yeah, it's a big deal.
Right. Right. I mean, think about it. This is a 60-year-old film. This is our version of the surgeon photo in Loch Ness.
Right,
very
exactly.
similar circumstance, except that one got exposed in the 90s. And I believe that picture was taken in the 30s. So it was about 60 years before that one got exposed. So it's a very parallel track in very strange way that it took about 60 years for it to come true, but that's what happens when we saw it with Ray Wallace when he passed away back in 2000, and 58 to 2004 was 46 years. So that one was lasting pretty long too. But you know what? That was never proven because the cast they found never really matched any of the Jerry Crew castings. They did happen to match some of the Blue Ridge Mountain ones, which the counter argument by John Green was, well, I think that Ray had, this is his quote, I think that Ray had carved those after seeing the Blue Ridge Mountain, but we saw 3 different models of stompers there, and all of them looked like the 3 different variations you have in the Blue Ridge, the little short one, the
one with the crack or the line running down it, and all that crack or whatever it was reproduced in the track.
Right. So, so that to me proves that, the 4 horsemen, they're human. They weren't infallible to making mistakes too.
Yeah.
In fact, if I do recall that Rene DeHinden had a lot of doubt about the Patterson film towards his ending years as well. So what was he told? What did he know? We don't know. We will never know. But we know he did start to have some doubts towards his later years.
Yeah.
And that is fact.
And Mick's got a good point here. Mick says, we already know that Philip Morris didn't make the suit that was used in the Patterson-Gimlin film because he was never able to reproduce it. Not even close. Yeah.
Agreed. And the funny thing is, Eric was talking to the director of the film, and they don't believe Philip Morris had anything to do with it either.
Right. Well, where they did the retry on the remake was ridiculous.
Right.
It was ridiculous.
And do you see That was the quintessential problem with Long's book, was the bringing in of Philip Morris. Had he left Philip Morris out of it, it would have been much more convincing and much more damning. But the fact is, you bring in this guy, Philip Morris, who simply said, I was sitting there one night and I said, oh my God, that's my suit. Well, at that time, the first thing I would have done the next morning was pull that friggin' sales slip. Said, now I got the evidence. Ha ha, I got one up. Knowledge is power.
Oh, golly.
Yeah, but no. Thank you so
Texas
much,
Bigfoot
Mike.
Rangers, 1990. Thank you so much, Mike. You are an officer and a gentleman. Thank you.
Truth that be told, there is real experiences from a real relict hominid. Amen, amen, amen. So thank you, Mike, again.
Words of wisdom.
Yep. I really think that, getting back to the question is, this was the golden standard of Bigfoot film. So, there's going to be staunch people that I can understand their veracity. The only thing I don't understand is saying, well, boycott the film, I'm not going to watch it. That's denial in the highest sense. Right. I understand denial, but aren't you even curious a little bit what's on that? You ought to be, because if not, I mean, I don't mean to sum this up, but how many times we heard this? Yes, today at 9, a man in the neighborhood turns out to be a serial killer. Interview with his neighbor. Oh, you're such a nice fella.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Israel Keys, one of the most notorious serial killers, was common, used to be a carpenter, used to have a carpentry business, and he built this whole playground for the school system. And they had nothing but accolades for him. And, oh, what a great guy he is, very responsive. Everything is so charming and friendly and everything like that. And he built us this very high-quality wooden playground for the whole kids to enjoy. And turns out that, he just so happened to be a serial killer. So, people, you don't know people sometimes, including me. You don't know me, but I can, at least I can say that I'm a notary public. I'm an investigator.
Let me get some of these comments that I've started. These are starting to get some age on them here, but I want to get through some of them.
Let's get through them. We got about 35 minutes left. This is the last slide in our presentation tonight, so we can go right ahead.
DM's Eyeball says, Steve, do you remember the Gimlin dust up about a year ago? Maybe this is what that was all about once he and his wife pass away.
I do, but we've talked about that before. I was actually part of that dust up, very inadvertently, because Rick Riolo threw my name out there without, all of a sudden my phone started blowing up.
Right.
Said that I knew that Russell Accord admitted that Bob said this was a hoax, and that turned out to be not true. Richter had said that to me, and I forget what year this is, but I remember it was over the summer months, I think, or maybe even I don't even remember, to tell you the truth. I do remember being in the living room of my old home. So this is, I've been here, 4 years this August. So we're talking, this is well over, almost 5 years ago. And Richter's words with me was that, that Russell admitted that, the Patterson-Gimlin phone was a hoax, and Bob had told him, I don't know what it means. And this is what he said. And he said to me that the film is not what people think it is. And he didn't really elaborate. So maybe like a month later or 2 months later, Russell and I were talking, and Russell made the same. He says, well, I'm doing this documentary with Bob, and yada, yada, yada. And then he stops and he says, well, the film isn't what people think it is. And because of Richter kind of preloading me with the prior conversation, I automatically go, are you talking about the Patterson? Well, people are going to be shocked and people are going to be lying. And then eventually, when this all blew up, I thought Russell was lying.
Right.
And I was wrong. And I even apologized. I was wrong. I thought he was lying. I thought, he was trying to cover something he said to us and blah, 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 blah. But I ended up having a conversation with him and Richter. And Richter completely, the other night was on our friend over there on the other network, on the other channel there that used to be our friend. had him on and said, that, oh, yeah, Russell admitted that Bob said that. No, because I interviewed both Russell and I interviewed Richter afterwards real quick.
Right.
And I turned around and I said, Russell said to me, no, I was talking about the documentary I was making. Right.
Yeah.
It's not with the film is not going to be what people think. It's not going to be about the PG film. It's not going to be about, it's going to be about Bob and his relation with the Bigfoot community.
And,
which has been shaky. But let me get one more point in before. Mm-hmm. And the other point is that then I called Richter up and I said, Richter, did you ever hear Russell say that the Patterson-Gimlin film was a hoax directly? Well, no. He said the film wasn't, what people think it is. Well, he wasn't talking about the Patterson-Gimlin. He was talking about his own documentary. Silence. All right, man, I gotta run. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
And now on the other night, he's saying, "Oh yeah, Russell." No, he didn't. He did not. You're twisting words. And for a guy who had so many friends that, anyway. But I'd really like to talk it out with him now. But
yeah, it's water under the bridge.
Yeah.
Put it behind you.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is that was the dust up. There was nothing really to it. Next question, Chris.
Well, I just want to make a comment here. From what I understand, Bob Gimlin is not featured in this documentary.
He is in it.
But, did he do an interview?
Well, here is what is alleged to happen. Right. What alleged to happen was that there was a confrontation at the Yakima 2024 conference.
Yes.
Where Clint and Bob Hieronymus both went up to Roger. Bob shook his hand. There were smiles and pleasantries exchanged. Very nice and calm and non-confrontational. Right. And Clint says to him, I think it's time that this is what was said. I think it's time we tell the truth, Bob. Don't you think it's time we tell the truth? And according to the film, I'm not even going to say what Bob said because I'm not sure. I haven't seen it.
Right.
So,
We're just going by reports.
Right.
Yes.
So then it shoots to Bob's home because they set in a time to do an interview with him. And what happens is he's shown the film, the new film, and apparently they ask him, "Who's that, Bob?" And Bob just looks up at him and smiles. And then Judy jumps in and shuts the whole thing down. Uh-huh. That's according to what the film says, or what Eric has said that watched the film. So be curious to see that interaction.
Yeah. And, wouldn't Bob Gimlin make a documentary about how he helped pull off the greatest hoax of the 20th century and
I doubt it.
A quarter of the 21st century?
I doubt it because I want to think in my heart the reason, if it turns out to be a hoax, the reason why he kept it going was because he loved and endeared the people in the Bigfoot community and didn't want to hurt them.
Well, you can fit in all kinds of reasons, but
because frankly, did he know the film even still existed to this day? Probably not. He probably thought it was destroyed.
I can think of another reason.
What's that?
When he was with his buddy on his deathbed, and his buddy asked him to do him this favor, not reveal that it was
for the sake of his wife. Yeah, that's another plausible one too.
Yes,
yeah.
But okay, we could go all kinds of different ways. Yeah. Reverend Quantum Bigfoot said my phone has been going mental with friends texting me, telling me it was a hoax, etc. Not one got an answer.
It's a tough nut to break.
Yeah.
Because we haven't seen it yet. Right. And those people too are going off just what the director said, not even necessarily what Eric Palagos had to say, who saw the film. Right. So, we shall see how this all breaks out in the next couple of months, few months, whatever.
Oh, gosh. No longer than I've been looking at these questions. We've got 40 new comments. The chat is hopping. It is hopping.
I don't know. I'm not watching it tonight.
Okay. Will Bob Gimlin make any statements?
Well, I'm not Bob Gimlin. I'm not his representative. I have no idea. And I don't know his health condition either. So don't know. The man is 94, going to be 95 for crying out loud. Right. You realize the man outlived Chuck Norris.
Yeah. I still say it doesn't matter. Doesn't change witnesses' experiences. Patterson-Gimlin has always been inconclusive. its importance is being overblown by both skeptics and Bigfoot enthusiasts.
Yes.
I think I covered this one earlier. I just forgot to unstar it, but it's
think
well
you did,
worth
yeah.
it's well worth another look. Very
Sure,
good.
absolutely. And thank you, Sally. Sally, I got to give you a call sometime. I got to talk about some stuff about.
Okay, here we got Manimal 9871. Welcome.
Hello,
Good to see
welcome,
you.
Animal. Good to see you here.
What needs to be noted is a lot of people in the community are understandably frustrated by the footage not being released to the public. And the very few that have seen it are telling people that it's, well, yeah, I think I didn't get the other part of your comment there, but we understand where you're going. Yeah.
The problem is that the people that have seen it, that are talking about it, obviously we lost Professor Meldrum and Dr. Meldrum last year horribly, and that's a loss that we feel, and it even feels like a bigger loss today now that he's not here to chime in on what's going on.
Well, we could, if he was here, we could have him on the show and we could talk about it.
We have Bill Munns, who saw the film on the little screen they presented to him, and he's still sticking with his story that I still don't think a costume could be produced, whatever. But
Bill has a theory,
right? But we haven't. He did not see the entire documentary, right? So he didn't see what was being said by Patricia or by Bob Gimlin or by Clint or by Bob Hieronymus or Dr. Meldrum or whoever else is involved with the film.
I ultimately totally respect the work Bill Munns has done on this film. All the camera angles he's figured out, the tests with using volunteer subjects to test.
He has done a great as
incredible.
Right. You know who's also done a great job too is Lazy Cowboy out there. He's out there listening and shout at you, Lazy Cowboy. You've done a great work. Doing some great computer graphic and AI work, reconstructing the path of Patty and a lot of other stuff. So great work out there, Lazy Cowboy.
But no matter how I feel about the work that Bill Munns has done, and he is my man crush. I think a lot of him. If this film turns out to be not what we thought it was, then we have to accept that. DM Zabo again. Man, I starred all your questions, or comments. Wasn't the Patterson-Gimlin original master copy of the film lost? If so, doesn't that seem suspicious now?
That's all I'll say. I'll just do this.
That's the story, that the original copy was lost. And yes, that does seem suspicious. Well, actually, it seemed suspicious even before this. Okay, let's get that out there. Sally says, I think people are overreacting on all sides, but I think the skeptics' claims that the film being a hoax proves non-existence is ridiculous.
I agree, 100%. And that's the other extreme is this. See, Bigfoot's dead because the Patterson film doesn't exist, and yeah, well, tell that to me who's seen two of them. Tell that to Chris who's seen more than one on one occasion. And tell that to everybody else that has seen one in their lifetime. So, yes, I think there is overreaction on both sides. There's extremes. And you find that in any given thing, you find the two extremes. I'm just really surprised the extreme we're getting on the one side by whom it's coming from sometimes. And it is what it is. I understand their frustration. I understand their shock. I understand their passion for the film for years.
Yes.
So,
but we can't put blinders on. We have to look at it.
I agree.
Vin1FX222.
Hey, Vin,
welcome.
What's going on? He's
good
been with us for a few weeks already. So good to see you.
We appreciate having you. Thank you. I grew up in the 1970s. I saw it first on Search Of and watched Lee Majors fight Andre the Giant.
And I may still have my Bigfoot Society membership card. That's great. Yeah, God, those In Search Of episodes were great. Mine was The Legend of Boggy Creek, and then I watched the In Search Of episodes, forgot about it, and then I read Monsters of the North Woods, which is Bigfoot close to me. So, good stuff.
The $6 Million Man was one of my favorite shows growing up, and when he was fighting Bigfoot, or the $6 Million Man versus Bigfoot, that was just, oh my God. We were all glued to the TV. Sandwich Savant says, I don't mind being wrong. I got duped, so be it.
Exactly. Happens. We're only human. Even me with all my bat powers, I still can be fooled.
And
100%.
Jim Jernigan says, welcome. Didn't Jeff Meldrum analyze the prints cast that Patterson-Gimlin took when they filmed Patty? Yes.
Yes, he did.
And I have one of those.
Me too.
Steve's got one too. Yeah. Oh my God. I'm gonna use it for target practice.
Oh, stop, Chris. Again, wait until we see the documentary.
If it turns out to be.
And then we're also we're gonna do our own little analysis on the documentary too. Don't think we're just gonna sit around.
No, the facts are coming, good or bad. Okay. Patty says, my husband always.
Chris, did we get a super chat?
I don't think so.
Check in the start area. Usually it highlights them. Hang on, I'm going to pull mine up. Somebody just texted me, said they sent me a super chat. I don't know if that was Mike or not.
Oh, no. I don't see it. Oh, wait a minute. There it is.
There
Leaf
it is.
River Ranch.
Whoops, sorry.
Leaf River Ranch.
And thank
research.
you, and thanks for reaching out because
thank you so much.
Yeah, Chris hasn't got to it. I was off the board, so
yeah. It's. I've got a list, man. It's this long.
It was down there, but
so Steve, if the Patterson-Gimlin film comes out to a hoax, is the integrity of the community doomed forever?
Great question, and thanks so much, Leaf River Research.
Thank you.
My answer to that would be, it depends on how they react afterwards. Like I said, that field biologist had said, and I tend to agree with him, that and I referenced Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country a few weeks ago. Or somewhere. I was on a podcast somewhere, and somebody asked me about, not even some weeks ago, but within the last week, I made an appearance somewhere. I forget where it was, but somebody had asked me, and I said, well, you remember Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country, where Mr. Spock and Scotty were having a discussion where Mr. Spock was laying out his theory, and Mr. Scott turns around and says, well, Mr. Spock, if we say that, they'll say we're recklessly and trying anything to save our captain. And he goes, that would be correct. That's why we need to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And as the field biologist said as well,
right.
This is going to depend if they're going to hold on to this, even if at the end of the day, if concrete evidence does come out, and we all see this film, and the bad news comes out that it's not real.
Right.
If those people and the higher ups in the community tend to hold on to that mentality that, oh, they're this and they're that, and they hold steadfast, even in the light of seeing the evidence, the Bigfoot community will be looked at a group of people that are desperate to prove Bigfoot is real, that ignore the evidence, and that would be terribly unfortunate.
That's no better than Greg Long.
Right.
You can't just start out with a narrative and only accept what supports your narrative. No.
Right. And their strongest defense, if this comes out, their strongest defense, I know Bob Gimlin.
So, yeah.
And the funny thing is there used to be a gentleman by the name of Richard Bruno Hauptmann. You know who that is, Chris?
No. Oh.
So Richard Bruno Hauptmann, if I believe his first name was Richard, was the gentleman who was accused of kidnapping Charles Lindbergh's baby.
Oh, okay. Okay,
right?
That's where that come from. Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I've heard that name. Just couldn't pull up where it was from.
And he was a German.
Yeah.
He was a German, part of the German community. Right?
Yeah.
And he got charged. And got convicted, and I've looked at the FBI files to it, and I've looked into it, and yeah, he was guilty, 100%. They found the money that was left as the ransom in his garage attic or something like that. They found some of the money. They found pieces of the ladder that they used to climb up and kidnap the baby.
Right.
And people will say, "Oh, that's disputed." No, it's pretty rock solid.
Yeah.
But the German community at the time said, "Oh, Richard, he's a stand-up guy, real nice guy. He wouldn't have done that." And they refused to believe that based on their knowledge of Richard, Bruno Hauptmann being their friend.
Right.
And I have to say something. My grandfather was part of that community.
Mm-hmm.
My father immigrated from Germany to the United States in 1898.
Oh, wow.
And was owned a bakery. Came over here as a baker, saved his money, started his own bakery, owned a bakery from then until the late 60s.
Right.
And my grandfather apparently had told my father that he didn't think Bruno Hauptmann did it because he was a real good guy and all the other things.
Well, shoot, I think my internet connection is maybe fading out on me a little bit because you seem to be kind of, the sync is off and your camera's off a little bit. I don't know if it's me or you, but
you want to come back in and come back out?
Yeah, let me go out and I'll come back in.
All right,
I'll be right back.
So that shouldn't change many things. So Chris is gonna blink out for a second, but no. So I really think, as far as that question is concerned, and thank you again for your the super chat. I really appreciate that, Leaf River Research. And it depends on how the community acts afterwards. There's going to be, for a short term, there's going to be people pointing fingers saying, "Oh, see, they were wrong," but that'll pass. That shall pass. So let's see. Let's grab another question while Chris is coming back in. Patty Lindsay says, my husband always said to me that he saw one and did not really look like Patty in the face. I've heard that, and the body shape too is like up our way. They're a lot not as robust. They're skinnier, lankier. Unless there's a confession, but from whom? From, and I can't see the chat right now. So, but a confession from whom? Would it be Bob or Patricia? Because I think Patricia, like I said, is closer to the Patterson film than even Bob was. I mean, you may not get a confession from Bob, but if it's Patricia saying that to me will hold a lot of weight. Probably the most weight next to Bob, who is there. Where is it? Let's see. Manimal, again, trolls come out online as well due to this news. They have nothing better to do other than exactly. Don't feed the trolls. That's why we are a membership-only chat tonight. So, Danny Spanks, PG film was the best piece of visual evidence, with it being debunked and nothing comparable. 60 years, Bigfoot will go extinct. Disagree with you there. It certainly did not for the Surgeon film, but we appreciate your idea. We appreciate your opinion. And Danny, thanks for being a member here and dropping by. We hope to see you more in the future, but you're going to see it's not going to go extinct. Sorry, Chris, I took over duties from...
That's good. Well, you're in sync for me again now, so I think that worked.
Yeah, it just happened. I'm just going to get rid of the ones that I already covered. Okay, fire away, Chris. You're back. I'm going to get off reading the chat now.
Wow. Oh. Patty says, if you find deer or cougar prints in the forest, you know that they were there. Same for Bigfoot.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, Rev. I'm going to go ahead and put this up. Reverend Quantum Bigfoot says, if I find a Bigfoot body, it will be missing its fingers and feet before being reported. I found it that way, honest officer.
Mine to be missing the head too.
Yeah, that's the thing. We talked about that before, and it's a bit macabre. But if you were ever to come across a body, a Bigfoot body, out in the wilderness, before you leave, remove its head and take it with you. Yeah, I know. But, and believe me, I have it on good authority there that if you find one and then you come back, it may not be there when you return.
Poop.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Poop.
Jason Finch says, I would like to see the documentary, but the other side of me says don't. No, Jason, go ahead and see it.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of like one of those things you don't want your...
You don't want to look, but you got to. Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's you got to keep you got to put that bias aside, man.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of documentaries you look forward to seeing. You want to get your food or your popcorn or your pizza set or your drinks ready to go. Me, it's going to be Alka-Seltzer and a bottle of ibuprofen next to the chair. And
not enjoying it, but gotta watch it. Yeah,
I gotta watch it.
And I've seen all kinds of Bigfoot documentaries, and a lot of them have just been horrible. But I've been able to make it through all of them. I'm sure I can deal with this one too. Danny Spanks says Meldrum is in the new doc. He saw it. That's true.
Very true.
According to reports. Yeah, I think we already covered that about Matt. Jim Jernigan says, "I can't wait to see it. I need to see it. I'm the same way. I'm the same way.
Yeah,
I want to see this."
And it's so good to see Jim out there in the chat tonight and on the podcast, brother. It's good to. Jim shouted out to me. He says, "Well, if you're in my way, make sure you give me a holler." So just so you know, Jim, in November, I will be coming to Kentucky by Land Between the Lakes. So if you're available that weekend, come on down to the Bigfoot Festival. They're going to have down there at I'll get you the details. Well, it's on the website, but I'm going to be in Kentucky in November. So if you can make it there, that would be great. Or if you can make it to the Ohio Bigfoot Conference in just another, goodness gracious, 5 weeks.
It's going to be over there, the Land Between the Lakes, where it's impossible for those things to exist there.
Yeah. Well, you know what the interesting thing is that I'm hearing anywhere from mid-April to possibly mid-June that this may come out on a streaming service.
Yeah.
And, it's going to be a very interesting Ohio Bigfoot Conference. For my first, I've been waiting all these years to get there, and now this comes out. So it's like, at first it put a damper on me, but I'm just going to roll with my research and stuff we've been doing. So
yeah. Cody Marshall. Hey, Cody. Welcome. Good to see you. Glad to have you with us. Says a lot of people have invested their lives in this film. Hard to admit it's a hoax if you're one of them.
You're right. Absolutely right. There is a emotional attachment to this film for many. Some actually got into the Bigfoot community because of that film. They saw it one day and they said they had to get involved. And my God, this is amazing.
Right.
Okay, just move on from it. You know the truth about the mystery.
Sandwich Savant.
Thank you, Sandwich
$2.
Savant.
Thank you. He said, I feel really sorry for MK.
In many ways, I do.
Yeah.
Because, the guy devoted his entire, about 80% of his career, he's devoted to the Patterson-Gimlin film, whether you agree with him or not, the massacre theory, the enhancements he did originally. And then, the other 15% was the Mike Sells hoax videos. So, if you look at the something, if this turns out to be a hoax, he has devoted his entire 30 years all to a hoax, to hoaxes.
Right. And if this turns out to be a hoax, I can't say that I've invested much time in the film itself.
Oh, I have.
I have read through Bill Munn's site and stuff, but I did invest some time in the trackway, and I did some experiments by marking the distances on the floor and putting down pieces of tape and
far much more than I've done.
trying to recreate that walk without bobbing my head down when I stretched my legs out. And had I known at the time that this could be a fake, I always thought the trackway was proof that this couldn't be a fake because, a human can't do that. But a good friend of mine, very intelligent friend of mine, pointed out that if the video was hoaxed, the trackway could have been hoaxed as well. More than
Most
likely
definitely was hoaxed.
Was hoaxed.
Yeah. And that's another thing too, is the fact that a lot of people are trying to put out there that the trackway, that proves that the film is real. Whoa, the trackway was filmed on a completely different reel.
Yeah.
So we don't know which sequence that fell in.
Yeah.
We only know what they told us. So if this turns out to be fake, the trackway could have been filmed before it, could have been filmed after it, could have been the area could have been swept up, and then there's an automatic assumption that the whatever was in, whatever was walking on that sand barge. If the story is true, then what was walking on the sand barge made the tracks. If the story is not true, then we have no idea anything about the tracks because the whole thing is made up. So the trackway is secondary to that, and I always thought that strange too, because to me, part of the belief in the Patterson-Gimlin film was that there's a trackway. Who the hell would hoax a film and then also hoax tracks? Paul Freeman. I mean, that's a possibility there too, and I have my reasons for that as well. We broke that last week that there was actually a second Freeman film. It looked like a dry run for the Freeman film we all know and love. Yeah. Well, so we're looking at some incredible parallels here, and it kind of makes you wonder, what did Paul Freeman know?
Well, Big Brick 84, welcome.
Welcome, Big Brick. Good to see you here.
This could actually help the Bigfoot community if proven to be a hoax and the community accepts it and then moves forward. Exactly. I agree.
I agree, but it's going to be a long and painful acceptance.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that right up straight. It's going to be long and painful.
Well, again, I think that depends on your investigative style, Steve, and it's going to depend on your own personal bias. If you are a true investigator and you are actually seeking the truth,
quick and easy.
Yeah, you got to accept the evidence for what it is.
Quick and easy. But if you're not, if you're going to have cognitive bias, you're going to, we've done shows on this before, especially when I released Psychology of Bigfoot.
Yeah. About
what cognitive bias is and how people, they are biased towards this film. They love this film. They love Bob. They know Bob. And hey, you know what? I know Bob. I love Bob. But I know people can sometimes have flaws.
Yeah. Lazy Cowboy says Trax and Patty are in different locations.
Yeah, there he is. Hey, Lazy Cowboy, good to see you, brother. I'd love to get you on the show to talk about this sometime. That'd be a fun conversation. But let's wait. Actually, Lazy Cowboy, when the documentary breaks on streaming, I want to do a show about it. I'd love to have you on to talk about it once we all see the doc.
Part of the panel.
And be part of the panel. I would love you to be there. But yeah, I've seen your stuff, and I agree that looks, and Lazy Cowboy has been on this mission to say, hey, you know what? Something's off about the Patterson-Gimlin film, and he's been very, very good about doing the work he's done. Done some great work, and please don't eat the pens too, and he'll know what I'm talking about. Thanks for being here, Lazy Cowboy.
Matt, Central Kentucky Bigfoot. Matt, hey Matt, welcome. It says no one thought the huge big ass box on the horse donkey wasn't a flag either.
I don't, Matt, tell you the truth, I've never had a pack horse. In fact, I've been on a horse maybe once in my life. Scared the bejesus out of me for the first time because the horse started to gallop a little. Like, oh, it's kind of like hitting the brake. You got to kind of pull back in the reins, and it's up to the horse to stop, really. But I've never had a pack horse. A box to me on a pack horse, it is what it is. I have no clue No clue whatsoever, but
Never used a. I've ridden horses and I've owned a horse. Of course, being from Kentucky, that's one of the requirements. You have to own a horse at least once in your life. And I never used a pack. Never had saddlebags, anything like that. And I certainly never put a big toolbox on the side of him.
and of course, it's also a rule in Kentucky that if you own a car and you beat the horn, it sounds like this. Anyway,
I had one of them too. Yeah. Ooga horn, right? Leaf River Research says, Steve, if this is a fugazi,
hey, Fugazi, yes, I love the
I think
term.
it's going to dump the Bigfoot world on top of her head for some time. Nobody's going to believe anything.
Hey, forget about it. It's Fugazi, yeah. Yeah, it'll like I said, it'll be upside down for a while. And it too shall pass. Just like in Ray Wallace and the whole Bigfoot's dead. And then in fact, the funny thing is they actually confused the Ray Wallace story with, and they made something completely up. They had Ray Wallace's death, and then they said Ray Wallace was responsible for the Bigfoot film in '67, and on his deathbed confession in 2002 or whatever, he admitted that the film was a hoax. And that's the funny thing about it is Ray Wallace had nothing to do with the Patterson-Gimlin hoax.
Right.
Roger Patterson died in '72, not 2002, and he never made a deathbed confession.
Oh.
And for some reason, the amazing thing is, for some reason, people think that when somebody's going to die, that they're going to make some miraculous confession on their deathbed. Why would you just turn your whole life and make it worthless on your deathbed?
Yeah, I could agree with that.
And unless your motive was to fool everybody, right? And in this case, it wasn't to fool anybody. The reason why there was no deathbed confession was, according to the film or the documentary, according to Eric, this film was left behind to provide for Patricia Patterson and the kids.
What? Look at it this way. If a man cheats on his wife and she's with him his entire life and up on his deathbed, is he going to admit that to her? I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
Nope.
No, that's going with me. But I never have cheated on my wife. Love my wife. But, yeah.
Hey, Chris, guess what time it
man.
is?
Oh, my gosh.
We got any more questions we need to go? Or
Well, I think we've covered pretty much all we can tonight. There's been, this huge big line of comments, and I try to put everybody's comments up that I can, because everyone, I read each and every one, but we've only got so much time.
Boy, this show go by fast too.
Yeah, it does. And thank you guys so much.
Amen.
We appreciate you. We know we've got the greatest audience we could ever hope to have. And believe me, Steve and I are very humbled that you would choose to come and hang out with us. We really appreciate that. If it's your first time watching, make sure you're subscribed. I think you have to be subscribed now to be in the chat. But
or to comment.
Or to comment, yeah. So, leave us a comment and subscribe. You can get into the chat and come visit with us. Always a pleasure to have each and every one of you. Thank you so much. This is only possible because of you. Smash the thumbs up button if you hadn't already. Helps us with the algorithm. And we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.
Hey, folks, yes, we do have the best audience in the world. We appreciate each and every one of you. And, folks, thanks for so much for being here. And, again, it's amazing that you guys spend as much time with us as we are here. So, again, it's our honor to be here. We are humbled. And we love you guys, no matter what this turns out to be. And I'm looking forward to this week just getting back to in the groove of things with other material rather than this. This will probably be the last one we do until time goes to watch the film, watch this documentary. The last time we'll be talking on this. But we'll be talking about other things coming up, some really important things coming up. But on behalf of me and Chris, I want to thank all you guys. Have a great, happy, and healthy rest of the week. We'll be back here on Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, for the 1-hour edition of our Wednesday night show. Again, be safe. God bless. And, of course, keep on squatching. We'll see you all here Wednesday night. Love you guys. Peace.
We thank you for being here with us on Squatch-D TV. If you haven't taken the time yet, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And oh yes, hit that notification bell too. We don't want you to miss anything. If you really like our content, you should consider becoming a member. And it's really inexpensive and a great way to support not only the show, but honest Bigfoot research. Everyone have a great week. Be safe and God bless. We will see you all here next time on Squatch-D TV. Keep on squatching.